Okay, week 2 VLab 2 or VLab 4, depending on how you want to look at it. When we're ready to go, I already have the lab open. I'm going to go ahead and start my assessment. Again, pay special attention to what items need to actually be captured for completion of the lab. When we're ready to go ahead and click on Access Our Lab. This week's lab, or the second portion of this week's lab, focuses mainly on creating a GPO, a group policy object. Within our Active Directory, our group policy objects are what allows us to manage our groups or folders, our permissions, our pretty much everything through these policies. Once my desktop loads, we'll go ahead and get started. Again, with Chrome, make sure that you run the Java plugin, and then just kind of be patient. It will load. If it doesn't load, just refresh the page. I've had to do that only in Firefox, and it's been twice. What I've noticed is the first time actually allows you to run it. You have to reload the web page, then it actually shows you all the pop-ups. So again, make sure to run the Java applet for our Citrix. Then it will actually finish fully loading. Sadly, with these, you just have to be patient. Okay, so once we're in, we're going to go ahead and open up our VMware Server Farm RDP sessions. We are looking at launching our target Windows 1 machine. Again, pay attention to the issue with the password and username. It's a very common one that people keep glitching on. And that is, again, we're not logging into our base lab. We are actually logging into Corp as administrator. Corp/administrator. Keep trying to add an extra E in there. The password, again, take note, caps lock ISS3230, turn off caps lock ECURITY. Once you do the caps lock, once you master that, I have not had an issue getting in. Beforehand, using Shift to do the capitalization, it was hit and miss, and it was normally miss quite frequently. So once our desktop loads, we're going to be launching our group policy management. So how we access that is we go to Start, Administrative Tools, and find Group Policy Management. Once it loads, by default you should see it like this. So once you actually come in, you'll expand out our forests, expand out our domains. If we have multiple domains within our domains, you'll see them all listed. Here we only have corp.iss.com. We'll expand that one out. And the first one we're looking at is our default domain policy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to maximize this so we can see it. Expand out the window a little bit so we can see that it's applied to our domain, because it's attached right there. So that means from there and below it gets that policy. So what I'm going to be looking at specifically is this group policy objects OU, because this is actually what the container that holds all of them. We'll be looking at our default domain policy. So how we're going to view it is we're going to right click on it and we're going to click on Edit. That allows us to view it. So once we edit it, we're going to be looking at our computer configuration, the top one. We're going to be going to policies, to Windows settings, to security settings once it populates, to account policies, and from here I want to look at our password policy. Again, almost everything we can configure through Windows, we can set a policy for. That way everything is managed centrally and they all have the same requirements. Notice things like password history. It remembers the last 24 passwords. Password age. What's the longest you can go before the password's forced to be reset? What's the minimum age? What's the minimum length? Is there complexity? Should it be stored with reverse encryption? The meet complex requirements, that's again 3 of the 4, 1 uppercase, 1 lowercase, 1 number, or 1 character, 3 of those 4 items. So once we see that, we're actually going to change the minimum, and we're going to set it to 10 days. That means the minimum length of the password age is 10 days. For the minimum password length, we're also going to change that to 10 as well. Okay, it does not like my keyboard, so I'll just use the arrow keys, and again click OK. The minimum password age, my document says 10, but my other document says leave it at 1. So I'm not sure, so double check that just to make sure. Okay, so that is the end for our default policy. Now we'll be creating a new policy. All policies are stored under our group policy objects, GPO, and we're going to be calling this enforce logon hours and your initials. I am not doing it with my initials. I'm doing it with student. That way I can verify that no one is posting screenshots of me. I'm going to click OK. And you'll notice now we have a new GPO that will enforce logons. So we're going to go ahead and edit it. And so from here, we're going to be configuring the logon hours and what to do thereafter. So how we do that is we're going to find them under computer configuration, policies, Windows settings, security settings, and local policies. From here, we're going to be looking at security options. So normally the question is, how do you learn where all of the policies are at? And that's actually a really good question. Normally, you don't. I have 3 group policy object texts, and all it does is define policies. So normally what ends up happening is when you need to find a policy, you find the appropriate policy by looking them up. So we're going to be looking for our Microsoft Network server, and we're looking for disconnect services. So I'm going to expand it out so we can read it. Disconnect clients when logon hours expire. So we are going to define it. and enable it. But where do we define where the policy is at? So that said that disconnect when logon hours expire, but where do we define logon expires? That's actually done through the individual accounts. You can also do that through an Active Directory GPO. We just don't go that far in this lab. So we created it, we edited it. Once you're done, go ahead and exit out of it. So we changed a policy. Now, to actually link it or to apply it, we have to link them. So we're going to link this to our students. I'm going to left click on students so that it's highlighted, right click, and link existing GPO. I want to link my GPO. That way you can see that it is now forcefully requiring both logon hours and my logon hours. And that is all for this lab. One thing I do want to point out that's above what we're supposed to do is I want to see changes made by a GPO. So I'm going to look at enforce logon hours. So once you have it selected, you'll see where it's located, how it's filtered, the details of it, the settings of it, which that's what I want to see, is I want to see the settings. Once we actually see the settings, we can see what settings are actually edited, or turned on, turned off, defined, whatever. That's going to be right here. Alright, that's it for this week. I hope you have a great day. Bye.